Hi there, today we're going to do a quick review of an HP 15AY009DX laptop. Keep in mind, this is going to be a result of almost 6 months of constant use. It's not going to be one of those get it from Best Buy, review it and then return it because, well, in quotation marks, they were not happy with the product. Please guys, don't do that. It's getting harder and harder these days to get anything from the store that wasn't already mildly used. So let's start. I'm going to divide that into 4 parts. We're going to go through the pros, the cons, a couple of words of advice to HP if anyone there cares to listen, and we'll finish with my final verdict. Let's start with the pros. First thing that comes to mind, price. Well, I bought that for, I'd say, about $300. And I think that for this price, the computer offers quite an adequate performance. For a laptop, that is. It comes with a CPU, Core i3, 6100U, which runs at 2.3 GHz, with 6 GB of RAM memory, positioned in 2 slots, so there is the option of upgrading it. And it comes with a 1 TB hard disk drive. Pretty good, nothing to sneeze at. The 15 screen inch is right in the middle between good size and portability. It has 3 USB ports and an HDMI connector. The battery, something that I really liked, the battery can be removed and changed if needed. So you can have a spare if you want and if you need it, and it's just a matter of pulling a latch in order to release the battery and plug a new one in. Or when it finally dies, well, you can easily change it with a new one. This is in stark contrast with a recent tendency I find that many assemblers of computers are starting to integrate the batteries. They place them inside the actual laptop and you cannot change it unless you do a partial disassembly of your computer. A really nasty habit. It really ticks me off, and I would never buy a computer like that, by the way. Next thing that I really liked, ventilation. Well, it's a laptop, and by default, all laptops are poorly cooled. But you know what? Ventilation slots here are all adequately positioned, which means no vents on the bottom. So using it in your lap or in bed will not block the air supply. I also like the touchpad, but not the touchpad itself. I like the fact that HP put actual physical left and right click mouse buttons on it. Because you know what? You do not need to copy Apple's marketing in order to understand what is important and good and easy for a computer user. Thumbs up for that. So this briefly describes all the good things about that laptop. Now let's go to the cons. Number 1. This computer comes with a touchscreen. And somebody might say, well, why would a touchscreen be a problem? Right, it doesn't seem like one, at least on the label. But, you know what? In 6 months, I never had to use it. Well, I used it once, and that was just to see what it is like to use a desktop or a laptop computer with a touchscreen. And I found that it was very uncomfortable. It was non-ergonomic. After an hour of use, my shoulders were hurting. And honestly, I found it was quite pointless. But the touchscreen drains your battery really hard. And that brings me to the second biggest problem of this computer. It's battery life. Now, I'm thinking probably that battery would have been adequate if it didn't need to feed the insatiable touchscreen at all times. And if you're wondering, uninstalling it or disabling the touchscreen feature in Control Panel will not do any help. The capacitors will keep on draining electricity from that battery. So, prepare for less than an hour of battery life if you're doing any actual computer work, or maybe just barely enough to watch a movie if you're not stressing it that much. So, yes, its battery has a completely and utterly inadequate life. Probably competing for the second biggest problem of this computer is its LAN adapter. That laptop came with only a 100 megabit adapter. So transferring any large files over your home network becomes a big problem. Why? Well, it's slow, very, very slow. And it will actually shorten the life of your hard drives because it will unnecessarily stress them, as they will be spinning for a long time, sometimes hours, in order to transfer a file that would have usually taken just a few minutes to be transferred over a gigabit network. Unfortunately, connectivity issues do not end here. The Wi-Fi adapter is quite weak. I had a chance to compare it to a much cheaper Acer and a generic tablet. And you know what? The HP showed to have an inadequate range compared to those two devices. It would usually lose connection only about, let's say, 2 rooms away from your router, while the other two, much cheaper, one of them no-name devices, worked just well. The next thing, which is a big problem, you do not get any official, at least, Windows 7 drivers on the HP website. So as far as HP is concerned, you're limited to Windows 10. And if you want to upgrade, yes, upgrade from Windows 10 to Windows 7, that might be a problem. Make sure you find all the drivers from a third party if you can. The computer has one of the least responsive touchpads I've ever worked with. Clicking by tapping could be a time-wasting initiative. And if you try it, probably just like me, at one point you will decide, you know what, this is not worth it, I'm gonna use the 2 buttons below the touchpad. Traditionally for HP, the computer has poor power management. What do I mean? I mean that when in balanced mode, sometimes the computer would not have adequate power to even run Skype. Yes, you can resolve that with 2 mouse clicks before and after every Skype video call, but you know what? For 2 decades, HP should have already taken care of that. And that brings me to the third part of the discussion. My advice to HP. Hi HP. No matter what the cost of your device is, I think there are things that in the 21st century are basic standards. And any device ranging from $50 to $4,000 should adhere to. And these are adequate battery power, adequate LAN speed, adequate Wi-Fi range. And you missed on those 3, and cheap is not an excuse for that. Remember, much cheaper and no-name devices outperformed your product here. Also, not every device needs to bring memories of an oversized iPod Touch. Marketing gimmicks like touchscreen are almost always unnecessary in a laptop and should never be placed there in exchange of sacrificing basic and essential laptop features such as battery life. On a more positive note, kudos for not embedding the battery. Keep it this way. So let me finish with my verdict. I think this laptop is actually an acceptable deal for $300. It provides moderately adequate performance for everyday use, and you know what? I would buy it again for that price. However, keeping in mind the cons I mentioned, there are some serious limitations, and if this computer were, let's say, $400, probably I wouldn't even think about it.